Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for September 9th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday, so it is time for a little motivation / positivity. But first, speaking of positivity, got to give a shout out to our sponsor there, Lotwin. Got a 3D custom hype chain for my son's 10th birthday. Came in the mail yesterday. First of all, the whole thing process, start to finish, was great. Worked with him on a couple ideas and got exactly what we're looking for. But if you're used to the hype chains that they sell at like Citizens Bank Park or the Link or Rally House or wherever, and you're used to like the thick foam, this is not what you're going to get here. These things are solid. It's like a good, heavy 3D. I guess he 3D prints them on a nice plastic. The chains are nice. I highly recommend, if you were on the fence about it before, you got to get these hype chains, and he'll work with you on any design you want. So I highly recommend them. Like I said, these things are good for fantasy football, winners and losers, bachelor parties, kids' birthdays, team sports, whatever you want. But I usually just let the pre-roll be the pre-roll, but since that came in the mail yesterday, I had to comment on it because the thing is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to it. I will be putting in more orders for just different ones here or there, but go check them out. Use that promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off, but you won't be disappointed, I promise. All right, so Tuesday motivation / positivity brought to you as always by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. We here this day in Philly sports history, as well as the Brotherly Birds Breakdown. We're part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can join, get involved, and what services they can do for you. All right, today we're going to go to our old pal, Mark Manson. We've talked about him before. I read his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I signed up because I enjoyed it for his weekly newsletter. And so many times, some of the things he says really hits close to home, but does it in a way that, for whatever reason, I need it. And I've certainly been struggling with this for a few months now. Needed this, so I thought I would share it with you. And the quote today is, "Happiness is like being cool. The harder you try, the less it's going to happen. So stop trying and start living." And I love this because chasing happiness is counterproductive. The more you try to seek something, the less you're going to get it. Basically, it's saying the more you chase it, the less genuine you become, and you're chasing the idea of being happy and not so much the actual happiness itself, if you will. But if you dive deeper into this, it's saying to be truly happy, you just have to live. Be in the moment, be present, allow whatever's happened to happen, allow whatever's going on, live it, own it, whatever you have to do, and pursue your goals, not being happy. Pursue what you want, not being happy, because the more you pursue the happiness, it detracts from what you're trying to do and ultimately makes you unhappy. So do what makes you happy, not what you think others want you to be happy, or what you see others who are quote unquote happy, what they're doing. Chase and pursue what you want, what's going to make you happy. And in the process, that's where you'll find your happiness. And again, happiness is like being cool. The more you try, the less it's going to happen. So stop trying, stop living, pursue your goals, live your life, and then and only then will you be happy. Instead of trying to track down and pursue this abstract idea here, set goals for yourself. pursue what you want, and then in the process you'll find you'll be happier. And as I said, I have to remind myself of this all the time. It's very easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to this person, that person, what this one's doing, what that one's doing. But truly all that matters is what you want, and in the process of pursuing those goals, those dreams, that is what ultimately is going to make you happy. So that is today's Tuesday motivation slash positivity, brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see what they have to offer, how you can get involved, and come join us. It's a lot of fun. Met some great people since being a member of it. And the sky is the limit. It's just growing at day by day. So go there, check it out, and see how you can get involved. All right. Some Phillies news before we get into the game. Before the game, Trey Turner obviously went on the IL. Unexpectedly, Alec Bohm went on the IL as well. But Trey is a grade 1 hamstring strain, which is the best case scenario. Obviously, the best case would be not to be hurt or missing time at all. But the fact of the matter is, it's a grade 1, and everybody's saying this, that, or the other. Did my own research just to see. Roughly about a 3-week recovery time. So Rob Thompson, the Phillies have all said he should be back in time for the playoffs. Trey said this. That is in line with what I was able to do some research. And no, I didn't look at WebMD. Talk to some people, some doctors. So I actually did legitimate research on this. But should be hopefully back for the playoffs. Now, what that means as far as his production, we'll have to see. Because obviously the best... I can't even think of what I'm trying to say here. The best case treatment for a grade 1 strain like that is rest. So you got to worry a little bit about his conditioning. I don't know if that means no swings in the cage or anything. Probably not for at least a week or so. Everybody I talked to said you just got to rest it, ice it, and then eventually work your way into doing stretches and getting some of that conditioning back. Complicating it is the fact that playoffs are around the corner, but everybody seemed positive about it, so we will take that. Bomer came out of nowhere, though. Apparently his shoulder, he's having some soreness in his left shoulder. He's been feeling it when he's swinging. Seems almost like an overuse injury. That might explain his recent slump as well. So he's on the 10-day IL. Hopefully he'll be back in time for that. But in the meantime, Otto Kemp is back up on the team and will be playing third base. Edmundo Sosa will be playing short. Rob Thompson did say, in the spirit of giving guys rest and things like that, likely we'll see Bryson Stott a little bit at short as well. But I'm okay with Kemp. I know a lot of people are down on him. I like him. I think he has a ton of potential. Was tearing it up again back down in AAA. So it was good to see him back in the lineup yesterday. And what a game. What a game. 1-0 Phillies win. Aaron Nola turned back the hands of time. Pitched better than he has this entire season. 6 scoreless innings. Only allowed 3 hits. Did walk a couple. But hands down his best start of the season at probably the most crucial time. So hopefully we get playoff Nola down the stretch and into the playoffs. Johan Duran got into a little bit of trouble, but was able to get his way out of it. And it must be nice to just say, okay, I'm going to throw a 103-mile-per-hour fastball. McNeil looked completely lost on that last at-bat. And like you could just see it on his face. Like he just was like, damn. So the lead now in the NL East is up to 8 games. But more importantly, they decreased the magic number by 2. The magic number to win the division is now 11. You still have 3 more games here this week against the Mets. I believe it's like 18 games left in the season, somewhere around there. But things are looking good. McLean is going to be a good pitcher for the Mets. But they were able to do enough against him, and he didn't seem so invincible. It was good to see the bottom of the lineup having success against him. 3 or 4 straight hits there. Bader probably cost the Phillies the extra insurance run, but listen, the way he plays, it's kind of one of those things. I'll take him being aggressive like that. And I mean, he made it closer than what it should have been, trying to go over that tag when he got thrown out there. But overall, great win for the Phils. 8-game lead, magic number down to 11. They're back at it tonight with Ranger Suarez on the mound. This was the game that I was like, all right, if they're going to lose a game, this would be the game. And I was concerned because of the mental aspect of it. But Nola came out and pitched like playoff Nola. You got to love it. Muck the Fets. I am extremely happy about that. That does lead to yesterday's trivia question. I said on that yesterday, on this day, Juan Samuel set the Phillies team record for leadoff home runs with 7. I asked you, who are the top 3 in leadoff home runs for the Phillies in their careers? Jimmy Rollins comes in first on the list with 46. Kyle Schwarber next with 33. And I got kind of called out a little bit for a trick question there. Number 3 on the list is Juan Samuel with 14. So Juan would go on to double that amount after setting the Phillies record yesterday back in 1987. All right, training camps for the Flyers and Sixers open up very, very soon. Got an announcement from the Sixers yesterday, and I think this was the worst kept secret. But there will be a season-long celebration of the 25th anniversary of that 2000-2001 season. I think I saw there's like 14 games where they'll be doing some special things. That means probably 14 games of the black jerseys, which I like. Here we go. It's happening. I'm getting sucked in. You guys know, if you've been listening for a while, the Sixers, for some reason, like a crazy ex-girlfriend, always suck me back in, and they're starting to do it. But I'm starting to get hyped for the season, and maybe, just maybe, the celebration will make this season a little bit more tolerable. But it does go to show, and not to rain on the parade, because I love that 2000-2001 team. I can't believe it's been 25 years since that run. But here we are, celebrating not winning a championship. 25 years of almost winning the championship. But like I said, that was a special team. And I do think, similar to the 93 Phillies, it's one of those, yes, we didn't win, but we love those teams. So sign me up for the season-long celebration. I also saw a lot of people talking, because there a lot of Ben Simmons in the news yesterday. Did the Knicks offer him a contract? Did he decline? Nobody knows. I saw that the Knicks didn't officially do it. I did see that he declined to come in for the veteran minimum. And of course, that leads to all the speculation. And I'm just going to say right now, no. If this was a different type of team, where you knew Joel Embiid could stay healthy, you knew Paul George wasn't 175 years old and able to stay healthy, maybe he'd be a good piece for a contender, kind of coming off the bench as a defensive specialist. I want him nowhere near the young guys on this team. Keep him away. However, I will say this: if the Sixers were to explore and even have a reunion with Ben Simmons, it would be the most Sixers thing the Sixers have ever done. But no, just no. Please, no. God, please, no. All right, some Eagles news. It does appear as though Jalen Carter will not be suspended for the incident spitting on Dak on Thursday night. I think that was kind of to be expected. The precedent was already set. Typically, it's just a fine. And Pro Football Talk was reporting that typically, if you're going to suspend somebody in order to give time for like an appeal and team chance to prepare and everything, those usually get handed down on Mondays. Since there was no announcement, the speculation and belief is that he will not be suspended. Obviously, it's the NFL. They can do whatever they want, so we'll see. But likely will be a fine. Nick Sirianni was very quiet about what the team, if anything, is going to do. And he was like, even if we do anything, I'm not going to tell you. Even if you see it on Sunday, I'm not going to talk about it, which I think is the way it is. I know when he missed some meetings, they kept him out for, I think, the first quarter or something. And we're all like, where's Jalen? I don't know. And also, I don't know with the state of the Chiefs right now, if that changes the outlook. Maybe they do suspend him. Who knows? But essentially, he was suspended for a game, missing that Cowboys game. But it does not appear as if there's going to be any suspension coming from the NFL. The other news was they made a trade, 2 late round picks for Tank Bigsby. And everybody was kind of like, we need help at cornerback. Why are we going after a running back? Well, Will Shipley is a little banged up with some ribs. And then I think more so than anything, I think it's a longer term move because Bigsby is still underneath contract past this season. He does have some success in limited times returning kicks. So I don't know if we might see him returning some kicks on Sunday. But I like the move. It gives you a little bit more flexibility in the running back, especially with Shipley being hurt. But I like it. But feel free, because I certainly did. And every time I hear his name, I do. Insert your own Dave Chappelle Clayton Bigsby joke now. All right. Be sure to this week to check out the Brotherly Birds breakdown. That will drop at some point late Thursday, early Friday. Best way to stay in the loop is subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Kyle and I will get you ready for the Eagles-Chiefs. Break down, put the bow on the Cowboys game, give you some fantasy and betting picks, go over what our picks were, because it is the Brotherly Birds breakdown. There is that sibling rivalry, so we'll give you the updated standings after week 1. But that is available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. I'll keep you posted. We're going to record tomorrow. My son's birthday is on Thursday, so maybe at some point on Thursday it'll drop, but if not, certainly late Thursday night it will drop. So just subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll be in the loop. All right, let's do some housekeeping. And obviously YouTube at Jimbo_Mont, Twitter and TikTok at Jimbo_Mont. See, I do it out of order, and it's muscle memory, and I always forget. Twitter and TikTok, Jimbo_Mont, Instagram at Philly Jimbo. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Who says it's been 3 years? So of course, I'm just a creature of habit. But follow me on social media. Lots of good debate yesterday on Twitter and TikTok surrounding my take on Philly's Karen. Majority of people said, yeah, she shouldn't lose her job for that. But there was still a lot of people that went back and forth with me saying she should absolutely lose her job. And look, I get it. She's not a good person. It's a douchey move. But should she lose her job? No. I had some people talking it's assault because she grabbed him. And look, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I will say if the guy would have grabbed her, we'd be having a whole different discussion. So I get that argument as legit, but again, not going down that rabbit hole today. But to lose her job and people say she's a menace, well, maybe she is a menace, but like a danger to children, and like, come on, like that's a little bit over the top. And I'm all about some good internet justice, but listen, the fact of the matter is her face is plastered everywhere. So no matter where she works, I hope she does work in a school. I hope she works in a middle school, because those kids are going to destroy her. And that, to me, as someone who taught middle school for 10 years, the last thing you want to do is give middle schoolers just an inch. She will be Philly's Karen the rest of her teaching career, or at least for the next couple of years. So to me, that's punishment enough. Make her keep that job. And I don't know if she is a teacher or not. I'm just kind of speculating there. But if she's a middle school teacher, she needs to keep that job, because middle schoolers are brutal. And especially because they're going to know that's my teacher's face there. So that to me is worth the punishment. But thank you. Lots of good interactions all day yesterday. So if you are following me on any of these socials, comment. Let's have a discussion. Join the Discord channel. It's the first link in the description. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet. I need to get the link and start sharing it on my socials as well. But there you go. Philly's Karen. Hopefully she works in a middle school. Want to show off your Philly pride without saying a word? Philly Goat has you covered. From tees, hoodies, shoes, and hats, their gear screams Philly louder than an Eagles fan at the vet. Whether you're tailgating in South Philly or trying to flex down the Jersey Shore, do it in style. Hit up phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, and get 10% off your order. Philly Goat, because being Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. Go Birds! All right, September 9th. First, we're going to go back to 1950, and this is a story we started talking about back in August. But on this day in 1950, the Phillies beat the Braves. Curt Simmons made his last start of the season. Remember, he was called into active duty for the Korean War, but his base was not called into action yet. So he'd been pitching every fifth day on day passes from his base. However, after this game, they were supposed to report to training out in Indiana, and he became the first active player to actually be in combat action in the Korean War. Certainly a big loss for the Phillies down the stretch during that pennant run, as well as the World Series. But Phils beat the Braves today in 1950. Curt Simmons made his final start of the season. Certainly could have used him in the World Series that year, but sometimes duty calls. So kudos and shout out to Curt Simmons for becoming the first active player in Major League Baseball to see action in the Korean War. Fast forward to 1997, Phillies beat the Mets 1-0 at Shea Stadium. Later that night, however, Hall of Famer and beloved Phillies broadcaster Richie Ashburn passed away of an apparent heart attack in his hotel room. One of the all-time greats in Major League Baseball history, but certainly a fan favorite. And it was sort of fitting if you kind of read if you believe in signs and numbers and things like that. Richie played for both the Phillies at the beginning of his career, the Mets at the end of his career, and he also wore number 1. It was a 1-0 game against the Mets, much like last night. So the Phillies paid their homage to Richie Ashburn last night. But rest in peace, Whitey. We miss you. I remember this one hit me pretty hard as well. I talk about this all the time, but Harry Callis and Richie Ashburn were the soundtrack of my summer. You throw in a little Chris Wheeler, some Andy Musser, and it just takes me right back to being a kid in the summertime. And then finally, in 2001, the Eagles lose to the Rams 20-17 in overtime to open the season. The Eagles played well against the presumptive Super Bowl favorite, greatest show on turf, but got down 17-3, came back, and had a chance to win the game in regulation when the Rams, as soon as the Eagles tied it, the Rams fumbled the kickoff, but instead of falling on the ball like you're taught, Quentin Caver tried to be the hero, pick it up, and run it back in. Couldn't handle it. The Rams ended up recovering it, ended up losing in overtime, but 3 turnovers early and a slow start by Donovan killed the Eagles' chances to win it. But the defense really stepped up and held their own that day against the Rams, who they would see later that season in the NFC Championship game. And I lied. We have another one. So finally, we're going to go back to 2003. Phillies beat the Braves 18-5. They hit 3 home runs, including grand slams by both Jason Michaels and Tomas Perez. It was both of their first career grand slams. It was the 3rd time that 2 Phillies players hit grand slams in a game for the Phillies. Now, after a 1-0 game yesterday, let's see some of that home run power against the Mets tonight. What do you say? Let's go. All right, and then finally today, our overrated or underrated and underappreciated Philly sports athlete is Brent Selleck. Brent was a 5th-round pick in 2007 out of Cincinnati, played 11 years with the Eagles, had almost 400 catches for almost 5,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, turned himself in and worked at it, became a very good blocking tight end, which allowed some flexibility, especially when Chip Kelly came in, to run some 2 tight end sets with both he and Zach Ertz, but was a leader of the Eagles in the locker room. Number 5 all-time on their all-time reception list, which I didn't realize he was that high, and that's not just tight ends. That's wide receivers and tight ends and running backs. But he did play a key role in the Super Bowl 52 as a blocker. Certainly went out on top with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl that year, and just continued the line of solid mainstay tight ends that the Eagles have, starting with Chad Lewis, following it up with L.J. Smith, then Brent, Zach Ertz, and now Dallas Goedert. Brent currently works as a personnel consultant. He's a fan favorite, but certainly an underrated and underappreciated contributor to those Eagles teams during that time. But Brent Selleck, today's underrated and underappreciated Philly athlete. That does turn to today's trivia question. Brent Selleck is number 5 on the Eagles' all-time reception list. Who are the 4 players ahead of him? Hit me up on social media, the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest, any of my social media, Discord. But who is ahead of Brent Selleck on the Eagles' all-time receptions list? On this day in 2003, Jason Michaels and Tomas Perez both hit grand slams as the Phillies beat the Braves 18-5. 2001, the Eagles lose to the greatest show on turf, 20-17. That actually happened to be, and I should have mentioned this, I usually do, it was our first home game regular season as Eagles season ticket holders. I remember this game well. We thought we were all going to leave at halftime. We stuck it out, saw the comeback. We're very disappointed because if my memory serves well, and it's been, 25 years now, that fumble was in the end zone closest to where our seats were, or near the end zone, and we thought, here we go, we're going to walk it off and win the game. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and then unfortunately it would be a while before we would be back to an Eagles game due to the horrific 9/11 events. I'll touch base more on that later this week. 1997, Phillies beat the Mets 1-0 at Shea Stadium. However, after the game, legendary Phillies player and broadcaster Richie Ashburn passed away in his hotel room. And then in 1950, Phillies beat the Braves 7-5. Kurt Simmons with his last start before going into active duty before the Korean War. All right, we'll have more on the Eagles and the Jalen Carter situation as we start gearing up for Eagles-Chiefs, the Super Bowl rematch on Sunday. Phil's Mets game 2 tonight. Let's chop that magic number into single digits. I'm all for it. Yesterday's question of the day was how many games do the Phillies need to win? 67% of you said 3. So thank you to everybody. Today's question of the day, how are we feeling about Edmundo Sosa and Otto Kemp? Can the Phillies sustain with those guys? I think they can. I mean, Sosa has proven that when he called upon, the Phillies did great last year with Sosa being the everyday shortstop. So I'm confident, but let me know your thoughts on can the Phillies survive with Otto Kemp and Edmundo Sosa playing shortstop and third for the foreseeable future. All right, remember, happiness is like being cool. The more you try, the less it's going to happen. Stop trying and start living. Pursue what makes you happy, and in the process, you will achieve happiness. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 9th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.